The Maryvale serial shooter, also known as the serial street shooter, is a serial killer who was linked to 12 separate shootings resulting in 9 deaths and 3 injuries across Phoenix, Arizona in 2015 and 2016, mainly in the Maryvale neighborhood. On May 8, 2017, Aaron Saucedo was charged with the shootings, and an additional 2 homicides. Timeline of shootings. 2015. The first shooting occurred on August 12 at 900 E. Colesver St. The first homicide, that of 61-year-old Raul Romero, occurred on August 16, 2015. He was shot multiple times in his driveway. This was the first shooting which suspect Aaron Saucedo, see below, was originally charged. 2016. On January 1, 22-year-old Jesse Olivas was shot to death on a sidewalk at 2200 Newtons, 58th DR. On March 17, near 1100 East Moreland Street, a 16-year-old boy was shot and wounded while walking down the street at about 11:30 p.m. This was believed to be the first shooting during the original investigation. On March 18, at 11:30 p.m., a 21-year-old man was shot and wounded while standing outside his vehicle at 4,300 Newtons, 73rd Ave. On April 1, 21-year-old Diego Verdugo Sanchez was shot and killed at around 9 p.m. while visiting his pregnant fiancée and her family. On the early morning of April 19, 55-year-old Crystal Annette White was found shot to death at 500 Newtons, 32nd SD. On June 1, at 9:50 p.m., 32-year-old Horacio Peña was shot to death outside his house at 6700 West Flower Street after returning home from work. On June 10, at 9:30 p.m., 19-year-old Manuel Castro Garcia was killed outside his house. A police officer nearby heard the gunshots and rushed to the scene, but the killer had already fled. On June 12, at 2:35 a.m., the shooter opened fire on an unoccupied vehicle at 6,200 watts, Mariposa Drive. Approximately half an hour later, the shooter killed 33-year-old Stephanie Ellis and her 12-year-old daughter Malia outside their home. Their 31-year-old friend Angela Lenner was also shot. She initially survived, but died from her wounds 3 weeks later. On July 11, the shooter opened fire on a car occupied by a 21-year-old man and a 4-year-old boy, but neither was injured. Investigation of the murders of Verdugo Sanchez, Peña, Garcia, and the triple homicide were linked together due to the fact that they all occurred in Maryvale and due to similarity in modus operandi. The other shootings were later connected based on MO and location as well, though the murder of White and the first shooting occurred outside of Maryvale. A suspect was described by witnesses as a lanky dark-haired man in his early 20s. He was also described as being under 5 feet 10 in, 1.78 meters tall and Latino. However, police have not been able to rule out the possibility of multiple people being involved in the killings, as a car possibly containing more than one person was seen leaving the scene of 2 of the shootings, and 3 gunmen were reported by witnesses to have carried out the killings of the Ellises and Lenner. However, police have stated that it is unlikely multiple people are involved in the killings. The suspect is believed to be using multiple vehicles, including a black BMW 5 Series and a white Cadillac or Lincoln. A composite sketch of the shooter was released by authorities on August 3. Police released recordings of 911 calls related to the case on October 19 in an attempt to stir up more leads for the case. In December 2016, they said they had no active leads in regards to the investigation. Psychological profile. FBI criminal profiler Brad Garrett believed that the shooter is a thrill killer and is seeking intimacy in the attacks as he shoots the victim from close range. Garrett also believed that the shooter is likely inserting himself in the investigation or attending police community meetings about the killings. 2017 developments. Frank Taylor. The Phoenix Police Department commented publicly in March 2017 that Frank Taylor was a potential suspect in the shootings. He was killed after attempting to rob a woman at gunpoint a few weeks after the last known shooting. The would-be victim fatally shot him with her own gun, which she carried in a holster on her hip. After his death, Taylor was identified by several people as a potential suspect. Aaron Saucedo. On April 22, 2017, a person of interest (POI) in the case was taken into custody on unrelated charges. The 21-year-old man who was targeted in the final known shooting had been shown a lineup of 6 potential suspects, one of whom was the POI later taken into custody. The POI was identified 2 days later as 23-year-old Aaron Saucedo, who had initially been arrested for the 2015 murder of 61-year-old Raul Romero, who was a friend of his mother. A 9mm high-point pistol owned by Saucedo was confirmed, through ballistics, to be the same weapon that killed Romero. Saucedo also owned a black BMW 5 Series sedan, the same type of car that the shooter was reported to have been driving, and bore resemblance to the composite sketch of the shooter released by police. Raul Romero was shot to death with the same type of weapon used in the Phoenix freeway shootings, a similar crime spree in 2015. However, the Arizona Department of Public Safety denied Saucedo had any link to those shootings, and that they still considered another man as a suspect. Police said there was no evidence to link Saucedo with those shootings as well. Saucedo was arraigned for the murders on May 8. Initially, he was only charged with the murder of Raul Romero. However, on June 30, he received an additional 8 counts of first-degree murder, 6 counts of committing a drive-by shooting, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count each of endangerment and discharging a firearm at a structure. On July 6, Saucedo pleaded not guilty to the charges against him. His court appearances were frequently postponed, with the latest scheduled date being November 29, 2017. His trial is now scheduled for 2021. See also serial shooter, a serial killer duo in Phoenix in 2005-2006 who had a similar M.O. General. List of serial killers in the United States. References